Black wood. Maybe that small one to that round one. That's cool. That's even cooler. Wow. That seems like it's on. Can you check Facebook whether it's right on your camera or on your phone? Make sure it's all right. Put that lighter off the. Is it okay? Positioned okay? Yeah, I know. Om Mangalam Gurudevaya Devya Matriksha Mangalam Mangalam Bhakta Brindevyo Sarvalokaya Mangalam Om Stapakaya Chadharmasya Sarva Dharma Sarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishnaya Mangalam Om Sarashiva Samarambam Shankarachara Majamam Ashmarachara Prayantam Vande Gurum Paramparam Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Reva Param Brahman Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Ganesha Sharada Gurubhyo Namaha Jai Ma. Jai Ma, picking up where we are last week. What were we talking about last week? Pancha, the five deities, the Pancha Yajna Puja, the worship of the five deities. Because in the where we are in the puja, we've done all the purification. Sorry, we should bring up the topic. Feel online. We're going through the kind of a bird's eye view. Not so bird's eye. We're a little bit landing here and there, not just flying over it anymore. What started out as a maybe a 1 or 2 week talk on Kali Puja has been. This is now volume 14 or 13. We'll probably continue a little bit more, which is good. We haven't really. Actually, I've taught people puja over many hours individually, but this is a very nice way to. And I wish that was recorded. That could be. We forget these things, So this is nice that this type of view is being recorded. So we've talked about so many things, all the preliminary stages, the purifications, so many things, and we finally got to the beginning of actual puja, but it's not the actual Kali Puja yet, and there's a preliminary puja called Devata Puja. And in many schools, we mentioned last week, they often they worship Ganesha and then the deity, right? Or Guru and then the deity, depends on the tradition. Very often, like if you're doing Lakshmi Puja, you do Ganesh Puja and then you do Lakshmi Puja, right? But in our tradition, it's based coming down in the Tantra. It's mentioned in Tantra Shastra and in the Shankara tradition. They worship specifically before whatever deity you worship, and you always worship the Panch Devatas. Pancha Yajna Puja we talked last week quite elaborately, and these are first we do Guru Puja first, and then Ganesha, Surya, Narayan, Shiva, and Devi. And we also mentioned last week and how these are worshipped together, especially in South Indian tradition, where they put the five on one asana. And according to the one you put in the center, that's where we get the word Ishta. Ishta means the one in the center, the one you choose, the one to be in the center, according to the tradition. And we mentioned last week this is one of the backgrounds of when we say about Hinduism in general. Hinduism is very liberal or very open-minded or very, what's the word we use, pluralistic. It comes from this tradition of worship of the five deities. That was the first, I think, conscious attempt to bring competing sects together. Ganapatyas, the Sauryas, the Vaishnavas, Shaktas, and the Shaivites. And with the idea that there's the the full aspect of the deity can never be fully known. It's avyakta, it's arupa, it's beyond. Can't say it doesn't have a form or doesn't have a name. It's beyond our conceptions of name and form, right? And the names that are attributed or that it reveals itself, these are the main sects of Hinduism, and then the main the way we worship. Well, that famous line we mentioned quite a bit last time is that truth is one, sages call it by various names. This is what it's meant, right? The truth is beyond. There's one truth, but it manifests differently. It's realized differently, and it's addressed differently. And last week we also mentioned it's not just that there's these different names for the one truth. There's also the different deities are different deities. It's that one truth manifesting in different ways. So it's not like worship Ganesha is not the same as worshiping Shiva. Right, although it's the same being, ultimately is being worshipped. The absolute aspect is one and the same, but it's in a very different aspect. You and him are not that different, but you're very different, right? At the one aspect, you're the same, but at the practical aspect, you're very different. So the invocation in the Kali Puja, and actually this is probably 90% of Tantric Puja is done this way. These 5 deities are always worshipped first. Being inherited from the Panchdevata tradition, the Smarta tradition, but it's developed as there's one. It's my too many things in my head. All the information is coming to me. I want to speak all at the same time. There's one small in a Ramakrishna Mission Puja book, not published. It's like a workbook that the priests use in the Ramakrishna Mission. I think I may have seen a copy. Swami Harinamananda in San Diego maybe showed me a copy that he had. I don't think it's available, or if it's available, I don't know how to get it. But in it mentions, there's an introduction where it goes through, when it gets to this point, part of the puja is after purification is pleasing these deities, right? That these are the primary, most important forms of divinity. That they're invoked, they're pleased, they're fed, they're decorated. With their blessings, we move to the next step. It's not just, there's one truth. I mean, that we gave last week we gave a kind of philosophical background. But the practical background, we should think, actually, no, it's not like I'm just worshipping or calling the same truth by different names. No, I want to please Ganesha. I want to invoke Ganesha and please Ganesha. I want to invoke Narayan and please Narayana. I want to invoke Devi and please Devi. And get her blessings, get their blessings, right? All of them are necessary. Their blessings are necessary, their presence is necessary. When I was first instructed in puja many years ago, 25 years ago, something like that, 20 more than that actually, I was told actually that who are you to worship? I'm not trying to be aggressive, or insulting, but you have to be perfectly pure to worship the pure, right? Of course we try, but actually the mood is we're in the presence of the gurus, we're in the presence of the saints, we assist our guru in puja. Right, and we want with the divine being's blessings that it's their blessings that allow us to do puja. It's not like we can do it. Their blessings are allowing us to do it. But them seeing us making the proper effort to do it properly, pleases them. Anyways, talking in circles this evening. But what did we finish last week? We did Ganesha and Surya. We gave their pujas. And so the next one, after Ganesha and Surya includes also the Navagraha. We talked a little bit about that. So now Narayana Puja. Narayana Puja is very important. Actually, without Narayana Puja, Kali Puja is not possible. Actually, the very first, in this book, it starts as Ganesh Sri Guru Bhyo Namaha Hari Om Ganesh. But in many books, it starts Sarva Mangala Mangalyam Varenyam Varadam Sham. It starts with, O Lord Narayana, right? And Namo Vishnu, even these Archaman. In the Shakti versions of it, they can replace those with pure Shakti mantras. But the most common thing is it always starts with Narayana. Because Narayana is the foundation. It's Sattva Guna, it's the supporting Shakti. Stristi Stiti Vinashanam. In the Chandi it says Stristi Stiti, the one that supports. And so he's also invoked. And we can't say required, not everybody has, but in temples always is Narayan Shila, Shalagram Shila. So we had, even if he's not, if you have a Shiva Lingam, if you have a water pot, he's invoked into the water pot into the Kalasham. He's invoked into a yantra. He's invoked into even the Shiva Lingam. Shiva Lingam has all, especially what they call this egg form of a Shiva Lingam called Abana Lingam, especially if they come from Narmada. It's considered to have, you can worship Narayana, Durga, Devi, Guru, Ganesh, everything in the Shiva Lingam. Same with Shalagram. Shalagram mentions in the Padma Purana that all devatas are in the Shalagram. Of course, Shiva Lingam is Shiva, and the Shalagram is Vishnu, Narayana. But in the 1,000 names of Kali, it says, what is it? Shalagram Mani Vasanyay Namaha. She who exists in the jewel of the Shalagram. Right? So even Kali is worshipping the Shalagram. Right? So everyone's worshipping the Shalagram. Of course, Narayan is worshipping the Shalagram, but once again, as we mentioned last week, these mantras show that Ganesha is Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahman. That Surya has been shown to be Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahman. Right? Narayana is shown to be Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahman. So everything is included. But still he has his very unique form, and so in the puja, we hold, just like we did in the other ones, we put a flower in the Kurma Mudra as a meditation. Dhyayat Srasavitri Mandala Madhyavarti. There's many mantras for Vishnu Puja. This is not the most common. There's one, even I don't know it, but it's the most common one. If you go to Satyanarayana Puja, when the priest starts and everyone chants it, right? The very common. You know that mantra. If I start the first one, I bet you recognize it. It's a very, very common. It's the most famous, but this is not that. This is given in the Tantra Shastra. Dhyayat Srasavitri Mandala Madhyavarti. We always meditate upon that Supreme Lord, Narayana, seated in a lotus within the circle of the sun. So in the last mantra also it mentioned Surya sits in a red flower, a hibiscus in the sun. So this is also associating Narayana with Surya. So we have a name, Surya Narayan. Right? There's Satyanarayan, Surya Narayan, Swami Narayan, Lakshmi Narayan, Hari Narayan, Badri Narayan. There's even songs like Hari Narayan, we do like that. So Surya Narayan is a very important one. We worship Narayan in the city in the center of the sun. Right, this is his form. I've just stared at the sun, now I can't see his form or the mantras. That was a mistake. Seated on the lotus within the circle of the sun, wearing a crown, golden earring, armlets on his golden complexion body. He is captivating. Hari Harinamaya Vapuru Dritta Shanka Shakraha, holding Conchudis. So this is just a very simple describing a classic form. He holds the Conchudis. Other mantras describe him holding a lotus and a, what's that, a gada? What's a gada? Club. Gadadhar, club. This is a very common dhyan mantra, right? And then with the dhyan, what's it called? The Gayatri Mantra, Narayanaya Vidmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahi Tano Vishnu Prachoryat. Our flower is offered. So meditating upon, although we meditate seated in the heart, the mantra says we meditate upon him seated in the sun, right? So that's how everything is in the heart. We meditate, and then that feeling that the presence of the Lord is in the heart that we've worshipped and visualized in meditation, we now bring it from the inside out. And this is a common theme in puja. We do all the pujas that are done externally are first done internally, right? The more elaborate the puja, the more, like when we get to the Kali Puja part, where we have a 16-item worship or 10-item, it's all visualized, right? We'll get there. I'm going to tell you eventually. In winter time, we'll finally get the Kali Puja. Maybe by Kali Puja, we'll get the Kali Puja. That'd be very nice. Teaser, yeah. But that's true. So it's called a Manasa Puja. You visualize the deed in the heart. You visualize all the offerings you do internally, then you do externally. It's the idea that actually your own consciousness within the very depths of the heart is where it's meditating. Your own consciousness is the one that takes the form of the deity, or the deity takes the form of your own consciousness. But puja is not about closing your eyes. Right, that's called meditation, not puja. Right, in puja you want to express, you want to love, you want to have a relationship. You want to open your eyes and you want to see God. You can't say close your eyes and see God. That's not. I mean, we say that language all the time. Close your eyes and see God. But you open, you want to see. So the one that's visualized inside is then. Can't say visual outside because he is outside. She is outside. Right, we have the deity, we have pictures, we have shalagrams, we have Shiva Lingam, yantras, murtis, right, and of course, if we really see, what's really happening. Like, I can't say like, oh, like if you go inside, you can go see Ma. Everybody, please go see Kali. Of course, she's there, right? But if you really saw her, maybe you wouldn't be finished. Bas ho gaya, right? But you are really seeing her, right? But so how to make that in Swami Ambika, we wrote an article many years ago on Kali Puja. He had a very nice line. We the theme of the article was you don't have to be a saint to see God, right? Because puja allows you to see, anybody can go to a temple and see God, right? It's like, but we see a statue, it's like, oh, that's Krishna or that's Kali, right? It's like, but a saint looks at the statue and sees something different, right? So the line I think that you helped is that your vision changes over. It's like our physical vision goes down as we get older. Hopefully our spiritual vision will get clearer and clearer as you progress in spiritual life. We get to see what we do. So a saint looks at the deity and sees God. We look at the deity and we see God, but not fully yet, right? But also, we see this world and we see a world, right? Saints look at this world and they also see God. I remember Sargam made a comment, Sargam Shah in Berkeley, wonderful devotee. She says, she mentioned one saint. She said, I want to see the world the way she sees the world. Just for a second. Look through her eyes. It's like I see, she sees and I see. Right? But what does she see? It's like, and what do I see? So this is the secret. So one of the ways we do, we have inside, we then, can't say project, but we bring it out. Because actually, this whole world, we're also projecting it in a certain sense. Right? This world, we create a world out of our own consciousness. Right? With a very tiny bit of information, stimulus from outside, we generate the whole thing and create a world and then relate to it. So we can do that spiritually too. So so I remember Swami Shivatmananda from the Chinmaya Mission. He gave a talk years ago, and he said these dhyan mantras are like tattooing the mind. Right, your chitta takes on the form when you think of something. If you think of Ambikananda, immediately the image of Ambikananda comes. What happens? That means your chitta, your consciousness, your mind takes on the form of name and form of Ambikananda. You'd be very auspicious if your mind can take on. I've been trying to take on his form, But you think of him, your mind takes on that form. You can visualize it. Even if you open your eyes, your mind's taking the form. When you see him with your open eyes, you're not. A few details hitting your retina and your brain's creating Ambikananda, right? We create the world we see by information, by whatever information we got, and more information, you create a clearer and clearer picture, hopefully, right? These dhyan mantras are very ancient, very clear, subtle information, right? These the images, the descriptions, even the sound of the mantra, they're not just visual forms, they're audio forms, they're sound files, if we would. And so you can, by visualizing, your chitta takes on that form, right? And so when you see what you can see with closed eyes, then hopefully you can see it with open eyes, and visualize it. So this book is our daily puja here. So here we have many shalograms here. Probably on the property we probably have 30 or 35 shalograms, something like that. I don't know, through all the kutir, hidden in all the kutirs, secretly being worshipped. But we have a pratima shila, a primary shalogram, the first one that came, very small, cute Damodar shila, right? And in the Padma Purana and the Devi Bhagavatam also, it mentions the sizes. There's so many different ways to recognize like the markings on the Shila with the deity of the Shila, the size of the Shila, the color of the Shila, like this. But specifically, it describes that the size of an amlaki fruit. Amlaki is betel nut, I guess. Betel nut, like a betel nut, like that. That's the size. That's because most auspicious. Right, and so we have so many. We like the big ones you can decorate and all these wonderful things. But actually, these small shalograms and have certain markings. The first one that came has a beautiful chakra on his head, and a chakra that's created his mouth. Very beautiful. So he has a little, very nice mouth. And that when when it first came, it was donated by a wonderful devotee named Padma, an old Vedanta Society devotee from back in the day. And she, in Vrindavan, somebody gave her, in Varanasi, somebody gave her a shalagram and a little, small, very ancient Shiva Lingam. Right? And still those are in our Pancha Puja that we do there, that shalagram and that Shiva Lingam are daily worshipped. Right? And they came together. And actually, for many years, every time somebody would bring a shalagram to donate to the temple, it would always come with a Shiva Lingam. That there'd be some lila where they'd always come together. Now they're both well established here, but very, very beautiful. And he's a very, very peculiar personality. Now he's grown up a little bit. When he first came 25 years ago, he was very. Have to be careful that we're talking crazy now. We start talking, this little rock. I'll tell you what this little rock did. Now we're talking a little crazy. So anyway, what to do? We're all a little crazy. So Damodar is a very naughty form of Krishna, right? So he has this personality. And we were told when the shalagram came, you need tulsi. And that time Usha lived in a one-bedroom apartment downtown near the Hare Krishna temple. And she didn't have tulsi. She wasn't going to grow tulsi. We didn't know how to do it like that. Now we have so much tulsi by God's grace, by her grace. And so what we're doing, we went to, there was one wonderful devotee, every time somebody first time go to their home for a kirtan program, they'd give a silver tulsi leaf. And tulsi has a quality that you can if you have one tulsi leaf, you can offer it again and again. Right? You can wash it and re-offer it. Right? That's one thing. The other things, once you offer it, it can't be re-offered. Can't even touch anything that's been, it has this idea. But tulsi is so pure, and bivla, the Shiva leaf, is the same way. You can wash and re-offer. Consider it so pure, right? But it's also tulsi is so pure that if you have a metal tulsi leaf, something that looks like a tulsi leaf, right? You can offer it as with the mantra for tulsi, right? And tulsi is so pure. I've seen this actually when not Haradanji, but the other priest that came, Debuda. One of the Dakshineshwar priests, remember Debuda, we brought a second priest from Dakshineshwar after when Haradanji left his body. And we went to a home to do puja, and it came time to do, and they didn't have tulsi. Not every Indian family has tulsi. So I was wondering what to do. I was freaking out. I should have brought tulsi. I should have arranged it, because we're arranging the puja for him. But he just takes some flowers, right? And then he puts them on a little thing, and then he goes, tulsi, 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 and he sprinkles water on them, and then offers them. Like, going, I didn't know that was, I didn't know you can do that. You can say tulsi and make it tulsi, right? That thing. Because also he's creating it with the mind also. He's taking that form, right? But anyway, so with this idea that we didn't have tulsi and you need tulsi for shalagram puja, we had this little silver tulsi leaf, and so she'd wash it every day and then re-offer it to him. That was the idea we'd offer like that. And so she tried that one time, right? And we offered to him. The next morning, she said she looked at him and then we paint him with sandalwood paste, little smiley face. Right? It's always good if you can make God happy by painting a smile on him. You can make him happy, literally make him happy, right? And she looks at him, and he's like, "This is where we're talking crazy now." It's like he's looking very upset, and she's looking like, "What happened to you? Right? What's wrong?" That simple relationship with the deity. And she's looked at him, and then she goes to go pick him up, washes her hands to go pick up the shalagram and see what's wrong, right? And the way she tells the story, I don't know if she touched it or before she even touched him, the tulsi leaf, he threw the tulsi leaf. This is the idea, right? Right? The tulsi leaf flew off of him, either when she moved him or like this, and hit her on the forehead, right? And then fell into the offering bowl in the water, right? So he threw his tulsi leaf. And then she realized, whatever this means, like, he doesn't want silver tulsi leaf. He wants a real tulsi leaf. So then we go begging at the Hare Krishna temple for tulsi to get 5-6 leaves every week. We could have one leaf to offer him. Tulsi, very, very. So that's, like I said, this is crazy talk. When you start talking about a rock that throws tulsi leaves at you, because he's a small and naughty boy, right? So now over the years, and also then, whether it's in the mind or it's in the heart of Narayan, it's hard to say. Whether those are two different things, I don't know. But when other shalagrams began to come, we had to be really careful, because little boys don't like competition. Right? And there's some rules also in the scripture that mention you can have one shalagram or 2 shalagrams, and then all the other ones have to be in even numbers. You can't have odd numbers. There's these different things. So there may be some energetic scriptural principle at work, but he wasn't happy, right? So bit by we have to give a lot of attention, and not give so much attention to the other shala. And now I think it's the other shalograms are on the other altar, and he doesn't seem to mind so much anymore. Like I said, he's grown. It was a phase that he went through, right? And this is the beautiful. Actually, this is the beautiful thing of this is when you, of course, in the other forms of puja, where just descriptions of puja, we offer incense, we offer light, we offer flower, we offer leaves, but this idea of treating it as a small boy, and having the small boy interact, when in one sense, it's a rock, right? It's like, but it's not just a rock. It's got. But the thing is, this. I mean, you could say, what about this world the same way? I mean, this world is. I mean. We just were reading this the other day. In the last, this is I'm gonna get in trouble from Edie, because it's been now a year and a half, I think, since we talked on Krishna Lila. It's been over, I think, 2 years since we've done we're in the middle of Brahma's prayers, right? Brahma stole the cows and cowherd boys. And Krishna created like this. But in that line, there's a line that I was reading the other day, studying this one line, and it gives the different reasons why Krishna became the cows and the calves and the cowherd boys. And there's many reasons given, but to me the most significant one, it's also beautiful in Sanskrit, to prove the Vedic verse correct. And the Vedic verse was Sarvam Vishnu Mayam Jagat. Right, this is Krishna became all this to prove this verse correct, which is actually the verse is Sarvam Vishnu Mayam Jagat. In the Bhagavatam, it only mentions Sarvam Vishnu Mayam. It doesn't mention the Jagat, but it doesn't say the whole verse. Even that's not the full verse. It's part of a longer verse, but that everything is full of only Vishnu. This is the mantra, right? Right. So he became so. The mantra isn't the cows and cowherd boys are only Vishnu. It says the whole world, everything in this world is only Vishnu. That's what the mantra says. In order to show how that's true, right? That he became the cows and cowherd boys, right? In this story, he directly became, right? But even indirectly, he's directly all cows and all cowherd. He's become that mantra says that he's become everything. Everything is only Vishnu. It's only him. So the problem is we don't see this. When you start seeing this way, it can become extremely impersonal, or everything is God, and you leave it at that, right? Or it can become extremely dynamic, right? Like a very naughty, the little rock that became a naughty boy that now threw his tulsi leaf at Usha because he didn't want a metal leaf anymore, right? So that's the beautiful thing, is like some saints, they have this relationship towards everything. We may have a relationship towards a deity or a picture or something like this, I've told this story, like we have this, also on the shrine, we have this Lala Gopal, baby Gopal. And if you're here on Janmashtami, you get to swing him. As I bathe him and swing him. Very sweet. And we have, at Dakshineshwar, they have baby Ram in the temple. It's a very common to have this form of, and actually Usha's had this baby Krishna probably 35 years, so it's a very old deity for us. And we, on Dakshin, and we every day we decorate him and give him tulsi and give him flowers like that. But there's some people that take this, they call it Seva Puja, the worship of baby Krishna, tremendously, right? And the same Sargam Shah we mentioned, who wants to see the world like one particular saint she knows. She has a friend who is a great worshipper of baby Krishna, Vaishnava, very strong lady, and from a traditional Vaishnava family. And she worships baby Krishna, and anybody who knows her gets a baby Krishna. She finds homes for baby Krishnas, and if she gives you one, she gives you the bed and the teddy bear and the whole everything you need to worship like that. And I think you were there. We went for kirtan. I told the story many times. We went for kirtan at their house, right? And they had a beautiful, in the living room, had a big picture of Krishna, surrounded by the gopis, and a picture of their guru, and we sang bhajans for a couple hours, right? But then I wanted to go see. I knew in their shrine room they must have. I've never seen her baby Krishna, and I've heard legends about how beautiful she takes care of this Krishna. And she says, so I said, Mataji, can we see Lala? Can we see Lalaji? She goes, oh no, Swamiji, not possible. Says, why? Says, we're grown-ups. We can stay up and chant. He's a little boy, right? He goes to sleep by 6:30 tops. Otherwise, he's very difficult in the morning. It's like, but and part of her was a sparkling eyes, half joking, but she's not joking. She puts him to sleep at 6:30. And so another thing, this is crazy, right? Could not crazy that Krishna has to go to sleep, but she has a little metal statue that she puts to sleep, right? Right. And we've had one lady came and brought a beautiful little dress for our Krishna, our baby Krishna. It was sequins. A Gujarati lady, and hand sequins on a beautiful green. We still have it. And because I knew that she made it by hand, that it'd be satisfied if I'll put it in the closet and offer it next time we change Krishna. No, I knew I should put it on her and put it on him immediately. So immediately, put her dress, and it's like 3 sizes too big, right? It's way, way, way big. And I showed it, says, Mataji, it doesn't fit him. And without dropping a note, she said, oh, it's okay, he'll grow into it, right? Right. And I realized she wasn't. I mean, whether she even realized what she said, maybe part of her said, oh, it's okay, baby. She knows it's a statue, but it's okay. You can give children things that are too big. But part of me thinks, without thinking, Krishna will grow into it. He's living, right? There's as a thing with each one of these, it becomes a living relationship,
Who's the one who would recite the Gita?
Oh, that's Shivatmananda's grandmother, right? That she would remember that Swamiji who gave that talk on the what was that from Chinmay Mission? He came recently. He gave a talk on Meenakshi Sutram. Remember that Swamiji? His grandmother told the story that every day in the morning she'd read a chapter of the Gita to baby Krishna because he had to go to school, and he explained that when you grow older, somebody's going to ask you some very difficult questions. And it's her job as a good mother to make sure he knows what to say. He has to go to school. He has to learn the Gita. So when he gets older, Arjuna's going to ask him some very difficult questions. So it's actually so sweet. Actually, it's like it's a very, very. This is the way we can have a living relationship. She had a very living relationship, and so from like it was like from 8 to 9:30, she'd read different texts and philosophical treatises that Krishna will need to know when he gets older. It's her job, And of course we mentioned this is the of course we're talking Shalagram and Narayana, but Sri Ramakrishna said that in the beginning one is conscious of God's power, right? He described it as Durga was 10 arms or 18 arms or 10,000 arms, this or like the universal form of Vishnu in the Gita, these overwhelming, and that's very if we were to see the power and majesty and might and reality of God, we can become very overwhelmed, right? Right. But he says that's not. It's a natural response to an infinitesimal mind coming a little bit in contact with an infinite being will be overwhelmed, right? But that's not love, right? There's some what we call there's a principle of awe and reverence, perhaps, But he says in the beginning one sees like that, but then when as your devotion and knowledge, not knowledge of the majesty, knowledge of the personality increases, then and your devotion grows. The one with infinite arms becomes with 4 arms, becomes with 2 arms, right? And then Sri Ramakrishna use this as an example. Then it becomes not just with 2 arms, but a small baby, right? Usually we kneel in front of a baby. We kneel in front of God praying, right? But we have to. But what can you pray for a baby? You have to serve a baby. The thing about Seva Puja to Lala Gopal, if you don't feed him, he doesn't eat. Right, Ma. If you don't feed her, she's eating that through 10,000 mouths, right? We have verses like that. She eats every stomach is she's eating. Through birth and death is her digestion. We have the cosmic. That we don't have to feed. We do that. Maybe it's for our benefit to interchange with these divine energies through yajna. But when you're taking care of a deity intimately like this, it becomes a very different thing, right? Right. Love becomes the primary sentiment. Right. But anyways, Narayan. Back to Narayan. So he's offered. So after the internal meditation, then feeling the energy, feeling the deity externally, either in the image that's in front of you, the shalagam like this, or the ghatam, or even if you just have like an offering bowl, that becomes the asan, right? He's invoked into the offering bowl and then bathe like that. Even if you don't have an image to bathe, you can pour water into a bowl and imagine it being bathed, you know. And in the same items, Esha Gandaha Idam Sachana Pushpam. Ganda means perfume, Sachandana Pushpam, flower with sandalwood paste. And here, then Tulsi is also added. For Shalagram, Tulsi is always added. Or for Narayan, Tulsi is added. And the mantra, Idam Satchandana Tulsi Patram, with a Tulsi leaf touched with sandalwood paste. Right? And then another mantra, this is only done, there's certain yagyas where this mantra is done. It's an important mantra, but this is done specifically only when offering Tulsi leaves to Narayana. Om Namaste Bahurupaya Vishnave Paramatmane Swaha. This mantra is always, when Tulsi's, Tantra Shastra says that when Tulsi is offered, this mantra is always given. Om Namaste Bahurupaya Vishnave Paramatmane Swaha, and then whatever the Mula mantra, Namo Narayana, or like that, Vishnave Namaha. Om Namaste Bahurupaya. Bahurupaya, he who has many, yeah. Bahu, who's unlimited forms, right? So many forms, right? So that's an important thing, is that even if you worship, you're thinking, oh, this is for baby Krishna, or this is for Lord Vishnu, or this is for Lord Ram, like this. But actually, the one being worshipped is in many. Of course, Vishnu has many forms, right? Many incarnations, many forms, right? But it's also the one who's every form. Remember, there's Sarvam Vishnu Mayam Jagat, right? The one who's everywhere, the one who's has infinite form, who's every form, and who takes many forms. Upaya Vishnave Paramatmane Namaha, and who is the supreme soul, the Paramatma, right? The soul of all beings. Paramatmane Namaha. Om Namo Narayana Vishnave Esha Dupaha, Esha Deepaha, and then offering of food, and then his pranam mantra. Oh, then his shaktis. So when we get to although Surya may have shaktis, but they're not individually worshipped. And Ganesha also has wives, although usually we don't imagine wives of Ganesha. We think of Ganesha as brahmachari. But he has primary shaktis, and they're in elaborate pujas, but in daily puja they're not worshipped. But for Vishnu, he's always worshipped along with his shakti. And of course we know Vishnu comes with Lakshmi. Right, or like, of course we have Radha and Krishna, or Rukmini Krishna, or Sita and Rama, but with Vishnu it's always Lakshmi. But actually Vishnu is described as having different wives. So he's often seen with two wives. One is Lakshmi and the other is, maybe remember? Bhudevi. Bhudevi is the earth, right? So that's a common, if you go to a South Indian temple, very often you'll see on one side you have Bhudevi, and the other side you have Lakshmi Devi. All the way around like this. I don't think so. So, and there's a story that there's many reasons why Bhudevi is the earth is the spouse or the wife of Shakti of Vishnu. Of course, he is the Dharana Shakti. He's the support. So she's that aspect of support, right? So another aspect. So in material support is the earth itself, the earth element. And more subtle support is Lakshmi. These are two Shaktis of his supporting Shakti, right? And there's a story where Varaha lifts up the earth, and becomes anybody who carries the wife is become like, there's stories like that. But in the puja we do here, we don't actually worship Bhudevi, right? So here is an unusual thing. Usually, so we worship Lakshmi and Saraswati, and usually you think Saraswati in the normal popular Hinduism. Saraswati is she's connected to Brahma. Right, often Bhageshwari. But here there's stories behind it also. But this is the thing, is that this is his two main shaktis being worshipped are Lakshmi Devi, this auspiciousness and prosperity and health and like that, and Saraswati, which is refined. These are sattvic. Both of these are sattvic deities. Right, Vishnu is Lord of Sattva Guna, so that of refined consciousness, of mantra, of knowledge, of refined consciousness. So, Etaganda Pushpe Om Shrim Lakshmi Devi Namaha, Etaganda Pushpe Om Aim Saraswati Namaha. Right, and then his pranam. There's many pranam, but this one is a very beautiful one. Om Trailikya Putitam Sriman. Trilokya Pujita Sriman, one who is worshipped by the three worlds, right? Worshipped by everyone. Sada Vijaya Varanaha, who grants who's always victory, and who grants Shanti Kuru Garapa, and who grants peacefulness, right? The one who's always victorious and who grants peacefulness, right? Gada Pane, who holds the Gada, the club mentioned. Narayana Namosite, we bow to Latin Lord Narayana. And then the famous mantra for Lord Krishna is also used. Om Namo Brahmaya Devaya, Go Brahmanaya Hitaya Cha, Jagat Titaya Krishnaya, Govindaya Namo Namaha. We bow to Namo Brahmanya Devaya, right? The deity of the Brahmanas, right? This is and of course, there's Brahman. Not every Brahman worships Vishnu, and not all those who worship Vishnu are Brahmanas. But there's a story. This mantra specifically relates to an ancient story. It's interesting that in common literature you don't find it, right? I first read it at UC Berkeley in a controversial collection of Puranic things by an edgy anti-Hindu author who's trying to show all the outrageous stuff in Hinduism. I don't want to mention such people's names in front of the Holy Duni, but anyway, but the story is good. It's still an interesting story, right? And it says that in the beginning of time, Bhrigu Muni wanted to find out, okay, now that the four Varnas were established, who will be the deity of the Brahmanas? There's a story for this, right? And so he goes, and this is a Vaishnava text, so it's given from that perspective. He goes to Lord Brahma, and he says, "Oh, maybe he be the deity that could be worshipped by the Brahmanas." And he's sitting on a raised, even more raised than my little wooden platform here. He's sitting on a lotus, right, surrounded by the four Vedas, right, and all and all the Prajapatis and Rishis, everybody singing his glories in Satyaloka. He's like, what type of deity is this? Such an egotistical person, right? And so Bhrigu Muni is a little bit an angry type, if you know his story. So he gives a curse to Brahma that may mean when nobody worship you, right? And so that was a curse. And so not only the Brahmanas aren't going to worship, but no one's going to worship. And practically speaking, there's nobody who worships. There's two or three. There's one famous temple. Where is it? At Pushkar in near Rajasthan. In Rajasthan, that's where the famous that's where the famous camel mela is there, right? Very famous. But it's also famous for the temple to Lord Brahma. In Bali, there's temples. He's still worshipped in Bali. The curse, they didn't hear about the curse, There's a lot of famous. But actually, in ancient time, there is evidence of his worship was actually quite predominant, but it became less so. So that's the story that and so then they go into Lord Shiva, right? And so this is all adults, so I can hint at the meaning of the story, right? And so Shiva is in union with Parvati, and he said, "What type of?" As far as already he goes, and it smells like ganja, and there's all kind of weird people. So it's kind of a weird environment, and his host. It already is not a very Brahminical setting, right? And then he finds out where is this Shiva character? Oh no, he's in union with Parvati, right? He goes, what type of person is this, right? And he gives a curse, right? So I have to be careful what to say, right? Because the very thing that brings him pleasure, that will fall off, and that will be the only thing that will be worshipped. And this is the idea of the Lingam. This is how Shiva loses his Lingam. This is the story. This is a definitely Vaishnava rendition of the story, but it's there, right? And so, as a result, people can worship Shiva, right? But the Brahmanas won't worship Shiva. He's not a very clean character, right? But also, will they worship only through the Lingam? So actually, a statue of Shiva has no meaning, right? In the scriptures, a statue of Shiva, we like to see. We have a statue of Shiva, right? But actually, it's not worshipped. It's decorated. The Shiva Lingam is worshipped. Right, so actually, all Shiva Puja has to go through the Shiva Lingam. So the scripture says. This is a version of this like that. And so then, okay, that two down. Shiva didn't turn out to be a good deity for the Brahmanas, especially for judgmental types like Bhrigu Muni, and neither did Brahma. So let's go to Vaikuntha. And so he gets to Vaikuntha, and what does he see? Lord Vishnu is lying on the Ananta Shesha, right? and with a hooded like that, and his feet are being massaged by Lakshmi. And another thing, again, right? This is like, what type of person is he's so addicted to pleasure, and he's being waited on by women. It'd be criticism like that, you know. And he gets by this time he gets so upset that he goes and kicks Vishnu in the chest. He goes out of disgust, right? And Vishnu, because his nature is sattvic, right? And he always has perfect behavior. Right? Sattvic nature doesn't get easily arguments, you know. Right? So immediately Vishnu goes, oh, please, I hope I did not hurt with my stone-like chest. Maybe I hurt your lotus-like feet, right? By like this. And that immediately shocked him, right? And actually it says, if you see, I think it's Brigad, I'm not telling the story completely wrong, but one of the symbols of Vishnu's chest is of a footprint. That's considered his original footprint. My little statue of Krishna has Krishna's footprint carved into it itself, you know. That's one of the signs on the chest of 3-4 things that are considered iconographically necessary for an image of Vishnu, and this is one of them, the footprint of Bhrigu. I think it's Bhrigu. I'm hoping I'm not telling the story wrong. But anyway, some ancient sage, pretty Bhrigu. And so he says, oh, because of this, you have such good nature, and also you know, even though we abused you, you gave so much affection. You'll be the deity that the Brahmanas will worship. This is this one line, Brahmana. He's the deity of the Brahmanas, right? Of course, there's much encoded in this story, right? Because this is nature. This should be the behavior, the sattvic behavior, gentle behavior. This is a very refined way of thinking and behaving. But the story goes, Vishnu loves the Brahmanas, and the Brahmanas love Vishnu. But when he kicked Vishnu, Lakshmi was also right there, and Lakshmi does not like people who kick her husband, right? So actually, Lakshmi doesn't like Brahmanas, interestingly enough, right? So as a result, this is some of the stories. This is why the Brahmanas, although the most educated in traditional culture, right, and given the most respect, the most educated, the most like that, they're usually quite poor, right? Lakshmi doesn't like to be with them, right, yeah. But because if Vishnu's there, Lakshmi is there. So the bare minimum, if Vishnu is present there, Lakshmi is also present there. But Lakshmi won't. She doesn't like to stay there. You let go of Vishnu, Lakshmi immediately will go like that. So they don't generally they don't have much money for that reason. Right. But actually, you see nowadays, because Brahmanas in Brahminical families or families of Brahmin lineages, because they have good education, they can, if they give up the traditional life of puja. Right, the 3 jobs of a Brahmana are chanting the Vedas, teaching the Vedas, and performing Vedic rituals. Right, there's no fourth. In the Mahabharata it says there's no fourth duty. Actually, it's given 6. Each one separated: performing, chanting, or having chanted, teaching and studying, having pujas done, and doing puja. These are the 6. There's no 7th duty, right? But if with education and refinement like that, you can do other things, right, and make money. But then it involves leaving the you don't have the same category anymore. We lose Vishnu. Namo Brahmaya Devaya Go Brahmanaya Hitayacha. And he also is the well-wisher, always doing good to the cows and the Brahmanas. The Brahmins love him, and he loves the Brahmanas, and he loves the cows. Go Brahmanaya Hitayacha. So everybody knows so many stories. We just had Janmashtami, also important stories of Krishna being a cowherd boy, right? But I'll tell, some people may have heard, but a story that most people haven't heard. It's from the Mahabharata. We heard from Swami Bhajanananda, a Swiss Swami, he passed away a couple years ago, a very great saint, Kriya Yogi. He lived in India probably almost 60 years or something, not stopped, wonderful saint. But he loved this story. He's the one we heard this story from originally. It says that in I've looked it up and found it. So it is actually, it's not just his. It's an actual text he found in the Mahabharata, where the ancient cow, the original cow is Kamadenu. Thank you. She heard that people do tapasya. She's like, I want to do tapasya. I can do tapasya. So she stood on one leg with the other three legs. Difficult in one person to leg, but a cow is not easy to stand on one leg, right? For 10,000 years, right? And then Vishnu appeared. He says, I'm very impressed with your austerity, right? Ask a boon. He says, I didn't do it for a boon. I just did it, right? And he says, what type of mysterious, what type of a person does 10,000 years of difficult practice without any reason, right? This is unusual, right? He says, no, this is my nature, right? He's like, never, I mean, great saints, demons do tapasya, yogis do tapasya, saints do tapasya for various reasons, for yogic powers, for demonic boons, or for pure devotion. We do practice to get, maybe the cow didn't need anything, right? And she says, this is bewildering, right? He says, I shall give you an unasked for boon, right? I shall create a world above all other worlds, above my own world of Vaikuntha, right? Above even Vaikuntha, right? Called Goloka, the world of cows, Goloka, right? And I myself, so I'm creating, so it's not like cows, like where Krishna lives, there's cows. Krishna created a world for cows. That's according to this verse. That's why it's an interesting little unknown. I didn't know the story until somebody told me some years ago. Right? He says, and I myself will go and take care of you there. Right? I shall, that Govinda Gopala, he's gone in order only to take care of the cow. And in that story also, then Lakshmi, when she saw that Vishnu, and I shall dwell, it says, I shall go and protect you. All the gods will live in your body. It's the other boon. Within the body of a cow, you've seen posters of all the different, this is where these verses come from. Within the body of the cow, all devatas are there. I myself will live in your heart. All the deities, all 33 million deities will be in the body of the cow. It's very dangerous to kill cows, right? So the Lakshmi thing, where Vishnu goes, Lakshmi goes. So Lakshmi went to go, and the cow goes, wait, get away from me, right? This is very unusual. What does it mean? What do you mean, get away from me, right? He says, everyone is praying for me to come, right? Everybody wants Lakshmi, health, prosperity, happiness, success, name, fame, whatever the thing is. Everybody wants Lakshmi, right? You're the no, I don't want you, right? So this is very unusual. She didn't do anything to get. She did austerities, but then she won't even take Lakshmi. He says, why is that? He says, your nature is fickle. Lakshmi is achala, right? She's always chanchal, always moving. Yes, always very fickle, right? My nature is steady, right? So I don't want you in my body, right? So there had to be some negotiations. Vishnu is, because where Vishnu is, Lakshmi will have to go, right? So the arrangement was that Lakshmi will be part of the cow, that's part of the cow, and not part of the cow, right? It's part of the cow as it leaves the cow, which means it's stool, it's milk, and it's urine, right? So the things that are part of the cow as they leave the cow, that's Lakshmi, right? And also you can see how much value is in cow dung. Cow dung brings prosperity. It brings fertility. Milk brings. I mean, you can see that's very interesting. These stories, for cooking, yeah, everything is the ghee and. Tennis courts? I know of kitchens, but I've not heard of tennis courts. That's good. It's mentioned in the Puranas about the tennis courts. Yeah. This Vishnu here is Krishna, is beloved of the Brahmanas. He's a deity the Devaya, the Devata, the Ishta Devata of the Brahmanas. He especially loves the Brahmanas because of the suffix and the cows. Right, Jagat Titaya Krishnaya, right? And he always does good to the entire world, right? His nature is to only do good, right? Jagat Titaya, and he's Krishna, Govinda, Namo Namaha, I bow again and again. So this is the Vishnu. What time is it now?
6:05.
Okay, we're okay. Go Brahmanaya Chayacha. So that's the Narayana Puja, that's done. Then Shiva Puja. And the order is sometimes different. In the Ramakrishna Mission book, the order is slightly different. I've adjusted it to fit the more universal order that makes sense. Also theologically makes sense in the way it's done. The Panchadevata Puja is done this way. Right, and then to Shiva Puja. And usually the Shiva Puja is done, if available, into Abana Lingam. Especially this form, there's different forms of Shiva Lingams. Some are like shafts. So Abana Lingam is almost like an oval egg almost, but more like you have this is Abana Lingam, but this one's carved out of crystal, which is also there. And a Shiva Lingam can be carved. The shalagram has to be found, right? You cannot you don't install a shalagram like that. Shiva Lingams can be carved, and the shape itself becomes the Shiva Lingam, and then invoked, right? But but the stone, just like shalagram from the Krishna Gandaki River in Nepal, the type of Banalingam that comes from the Narmada in Madhya Pradesh, the Narmada River, that's considered also non-different from Shiva. No need to install. Actually, not even no need, forbidden, right? Because it's directly Shiva. In the Shiva Purana, it says that every stone, not only every stone on the full from the Amarkantak to the ocean of the Narmada River is Shiva, right? And all the sand, the river bank is Shiva. That's what it is, like that, right? Actually, and in the story of how Narmada came, Shiva, after drinking the poison, his body was burning, and he went to the mountains in Madhya Pradesh and sat down in a swampy place, right, amongst reeds, right? And this big, it's sitting in this cool place, sitting in a swamp, in a cold environment, trying to cool down. So the story goes, right? For thousands of years, he sat there and burning, holding the poison from the churning of the ocean, and it says one drop of sweat came from in his throat, right? From that, right? And that drop of sweat came and fell to the ground, and became a little girl. Right, he says okay, and began to play on his lap and tugged on his snake, and right, and so it became his daughter, right? So so like Ganga comes from Vishnu's head, but this is Narmada is considered Shiva's daughter himself, and so as she ran down his body, right? So she became the river, and his body, he ran down his body as his body. So that in the material world, that is from a spring in Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh border, running, that becomes the river Narmada. She starts as a young little girl, small stream, and it gets older and older and older and older and older, becomes a full-fledged woman by the time she reaches the ocean. Right? But she runs over the body of Shiva. So all the sand, everything is Shiva. So any stone from there is Shiva, right? Just like in Skanda Purana and Padma Purana and Devi Bhagavatam, it mentions how the stones, every stone at the Kali Gandaki River in Nepal is Vishnu, right? It still mentions at a particular place there's a village, right? Where the shala trees, we make plates out of them. You know those things like very common type of leaf. There's a village named after that word, and there's a grove of those trees and a village named after that tree. Shala Grama. That's where the name comes from. Grama means village, a village where these trees grown. Trees from there are to be worshipped. Stones from there are to be gathered from the river and worshipped, right? Every stone is shalagram, right? But it specifically mentions to collect those from that place for worship. So similarly, every stone in the Narmada is Shiva, but there's a place, I'm forgetting, but it's not far from Jharkhand, is that it? Near Jharkhand, where there used to be a family, a traditional family, that you'd pay them, and they'd dive into the river and go into a particular area in the river and pull up stones. And those are how the shalagrams came. Now they've dammed that river, and the river has risen. So there's no way without gear they can do it. So actually those shalagrams, those Narmada lingams can't be found. But still other stones are being taken and carved in the shape of Narmada lingams. We have so many at the temple, right? That's called a Banalingam, right? And so it says in the Tantra Shastra, in the Mahanirvana Shastra and other texts like that, Kulanavara Tantra, that Kali Puja, Devi worship, is impossible without the presence of a Banalingam, right? So actually in every temple you'll find somewhere there'll be a small Banishwar lingam, a small one or a big one, or some Shiva lingam, and it says that it's to do Kali Puja or Devi Puja without the presence of a Banalingam, right? I remember I mentioned to one person that was getting too sectarian. I don't like those verses. These are Puranas like to talk in these verses. They're always Puranas talking very big absolutes like this, right? And dire consequences if you do it wrong. So it's one of those verses, but it's still, it shows. I like the verse because it shows the ancient importance of worshiping a Shiva Lingam, even when in doing Kali Puja, right? With that, where Devi is worshipped, like it says, where Kali, Tada, and Tripura Sundari. I remember slowly. It's been many years since I've read this. On a park bench in Berkeley, I remember. I remember where I discovered it, so it's all coming back to me. People's Park. Where Kali, Tada, or Tripura Sundari are worshipped, where Banalingam is not present, right? It's like pouring ghee into ash, where it has no effect. Right, you know, puja like this. There's a common theme people use that a lot. It's like that means it has no effect at all, right? I'm not sure if it has no effect, right? People are worshiping Ma with great devotion, but still, it shows. This ancient text shows the. I like these verses because it shows the importance of it, right? The Shiva Lingam is always worshipped, and a Bana Lingam. So we actually do Shiva Puja twice in the puja. We do Shiva Puja as part of the Panchadeva Puja, and then if a Bana Lingam is present, then you do it again called Banishwar Puja. There's another Shiva Puja then before the main Kali Puja, where specifically Banish, the Lord of the Banalingam, is worshipped, right? And then one of the interpretive meanings of Bana, or Banishwar, means it refers to the universal, right? So it's like Lord of the universe. Like you could say one way to say Banishwar, right? By one use of the understanding of the term. But Lord of the universe could also mean the universal Lord. Has another quality, right? So if you have a Banalingam, you can do all pujas. You can do all pujas to Shala, you can do all pujas to a Banalingam. He's a universal Lord, right? So you can do Guru Puja to you can do Guru Puja to Shiva Lingam. You can do Ganesh Puja to the Shiva Lingam, Surya Puja, Narayana Puja, Kali Puja, Ramakrishna Puja, Viveka, all gods you can worship in the Shiva Lingam, right? But there's a rule, right? If you do that, if you're using a Banalingam for the puja, for the universal puja, you also have to worship Banishwar. That's why we don't just worship Shiva Lingam. Later, we have to include the mantras for Banishwar Shiva, which we'll get. I may not get to tonight, but we can get to them. So this is the mantra. What time is it now? We're going now. Okay, I can do this. Took me an hour and 15 minutes to talk about Vishnu. I'll do Shiva in 15 minutes, no problem. So holding Shiva, the flower in Dhyan Mudra, in a Kurma Mudra, worshipping, visualizing beautiful Shiva. Dhyaya Nitya Mahesham Ratatagiri Nibham Chara Chandravattam Sam. We meditate eternally on Maheshwara. Dhyaya Nityam, all the time on Maheshwara. Nityam means eternally, all the time, without ceasing. It also means daily. So it has both things. You can think, we should always meditate upon Shiva. Or it means daily, part of our sadhana, part of our puja, we should meditate thus. We should always think of God, but you don't always have to think specifically this Dhyan Mantra. This is done as a mental discipline, as I mentioned, like the tattoo, to image this image in the mind. Often this mantra doesn't give, but some of these mantras give what they call a pulstuti. One who meditates thus has this benefit, right? This one doesn't, but it's a bit... But so it's like it's a reason we're doing it for a reason, right? We may not know the reason, but sometimes the reason is told. That's usually a good reason. Minimally to invoke Shiva, and so we all know. I don't have the what Shiva. We know the form of Shiva that's common, right? He has one head usually, right? Sometimes and he has 2 to 4 arms usually, and what he holds like this. This is different. This rupa is different. This is the rupa. It's said in different yugas, there's different primary deity forms. This is the deity of Kali Yuga, right? It's not always one that we worship in visualizing in the rupa and the lila like that, but this is the form. In Usha's office, there's a Kashmiri form of Shiva, right? She has that they said this is the Shiva in Sattva Yuga. Right there, it's a different. The what he holds are different. How he's dressed is differently. The amount of heads is different. So we should daily, all the time, without break, meditate upon Maheshwara, the great Lord, Radhagiri Nibham, who is Charot, and whose body is like a mountain of silver, a silver mountain. Right, that's beautiful. right? And then adorned with a crescent moon, whose body shines with precious gems, who with his four arms holds an axe, and the gestures of knowledge, fearlessness, and blessings. Right. So actually, Parashu, axe, Mriga Vara Biti Hastam. So Mriga, it's interesting. This is Mriga. He has his fingers like this. This could be. This means So this secondary meaning. This is a sprint of knowledge, but actually it's not. It's you can see it's a symbol of a deer. Right? You can see the. But actually, sometimes you actually see him. Sometime in this mudra, sometimes you see him holding a deer. Maybe you've seen paintings like that, or sometimes he holds a deer, or sometimes in his hand. Sometimes he holds like that, and he holds a deer, right? And the deer is like in half jump in some very ancient paintings like this, And why? Because a deer is a very good symbol. Deer is a symbol of a very fickle. That you've seen. They're very they're very watchful, but they're very skittish. They dart, right? They don't stay in one place. You can't, they're very gentle and very magical. We have that if you ever see a deer in the canyon like that. But one move and they run, right? The fact that he holds it means, so the deer becomes a symbol of the mind, right? This is I'm not making up the symbol. This is a traditional symbolism given by yogis, right? And so by holding the deer, he holds the mind still. So it's a sign of meditation. Right, so either he himself holds the mind still. He's always seen meditating. That's the most common form of Shiva, right? Shiva meditating. Right, so it means his mind's perfectly still. But things he holds, these are the things he grants. He grants fearlessness and blessings. He grants the ability to still the mind. Right, to Mrig Mudra. Actually, even Mrig Mudra can be used to still the mind. This is a mind-stilling mudra, right? And there's all kinds of other things. There's all kinds of mudras that are based upon this Mrig Mudra, right?
Does he wear deer skin?
Not here, but sometimes he wears a deer or he wears tiger skin, and there's stories of how he got the tiger skin. But actually, holding a deer skin deer is also something, is that things that are obstacles for us, right? He wears or he sits upon, right? For us, a deer, our mind is like anything, but he has skinned it, sits down and sits on it, right? It's completely, also in the story in the Danaka forest where the sages invoked a vicious tiger and threw it at him. So he immediately skinned it and put it around his waist and tied it. Then they threw an elephant at him, and he skinned the elephant and used an upper cloth. Then they pulled out from the fire all these poisonous snakes and threw it at him, and he tied him with a Brahmin thread. He says there, because they were criticizing him, what type of, he's naked. He's like, you want me to dress? keep these things coming. All the things they threw at him, he wore. Right, it means he had full control over them. We're fearful of these things. He has full control over them. By wearing or sitting, these are very classic symbols of full, absolute dominance and control. Right. Crescent moon, whose body shines like crescent moon, who has his forearm. Okay. Padma Signam Samasistamaramagana. He is serene, seated in the lotus in Padmasana, in the lotus posture, or sitting upon a lotus. Padmasana means sitting in the posture of a lotus, or sitting on a seat of a lotus. Both of those meanings there. Also refers to the heart lotus, right? Glorified on all sides, Suttam Amar Ganir, sung by all the immortals, right? What is it? Stuttam Amar Ganir. He's sung by the immortal beings, by the gods and goddesses and the rishis. The immortal beings are singing his glories. Vishvadyam Vishvabijam. I like this. I like the alliteration also. Bhagavatam Vasanam Vishvadam Vishvabijam. He wears a tiger skin. He is the origin of Vishvadyam Vishvabijam. Vishva Adya. He is the source of the universe. Vishva Adya. Right? He is the originator, the source, the primordial cause or source, or I don't know. I keep saying the same word. I don't know. I'm looking for another word, but it may come to me. And then Vishva Bijam, he is a seed of the universe, right? He's the one who gives a seed. So we've mentioned before in the Bhagavatam, there's a beautiful. I think about it all the time, trying to comprehend how this world is nothing but God. This Jagat, Saravam Vishnu Mayam Jagat, right? The text gives so many, the sages give so many examples to meditate upon it. One of them in the Bhagavad, in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, it says that, I've quoted many times, Lord Brahma, when he comes, he searches, he sits on, he sees nothing. The whole universe exists. It's pretty much only a lotus and a stalk. At that, in the beginning, there's not a very developed. Now our problem is our universe is much more complicated, right? But at that time there was only a lotus. He says, where is the source of this lotus? And he goes looking for the source of this lotus, right? And of course, the source of the lotus is Vishnu himself, right? But in this version of the story, he doesn't find the source. He's looking for the seed, the bijam, the seed of the lotus that he sits on. Or in the Bible, it says this world lotus, right? Where is the seed of it? Where is the cause? Where is God? We see a world. There has to be a creator. There's the creation of the creator. That type of idea. Where is it? And we look and we don't see it, right? He looked and didn't see it, right? And so we've used this again. We've told this a lot because to me it's a very powerful thing. That if you look for like one of these, like this plant, we know theoretically if there's a plant, it probably most likely came from a seed. Most plants come from seeds, right? There's other sources, but so let's find the seed. The cause of the plant is a seed. Let's find the seed. Right, and you dig it, you can pull it, you can plant out, you can look at the root and look, and there's no seed, right? Because the seed has become the plant, right? So every aspect of the plant, you want to find the seed. Look at the plant, that's the seed, right? So he's the source of the universe. He's the seed. You want to find out the maker of the universe. You have to see it in the made. You have to see it in the universe itself, the moving universe. He's the seed giving. He's a Vishva Adya, Vishva Bijam, Nikila Bhaya Haram. Right? Nikila Bhaya Haram, and he destroys all fear. That's a very important. Abhaya Haram. He destroys Bhaya. Bhaya Haram. Then Panchavatram Tinitam, he has 5 faces and 3 eyes. And we've talked in the past on the 5 faces of Shiva. These represent partially, they're given, there's Vedic mantras describing the 5 faces and the different categories of scriptural knowledge that each face reveals, but they also represent the 5 powers of Ishvara, with creation, sustenance, destruction, veiling, and revealing. Veiling is, there's yes, Anugrah, revealing, grace that reveals, and basically creation, sustenance, and destruction, Maya that covers us, and grace that reveals the truth. These are the 5 powers. When we say Bhagavan has 6 qualities. Ishvara, it comes to that, but Ishvara means specifically, given a definition, Ishvara is one who has these 5 powers, right? These are represented by his 5 faces also, 3 eyes. We won't go. We can go into the 3 eyes and eat up English, but we'll go in. We've already talked about those things. Every time a deity with 3 eyes is mentioned, we don't have to go again into these. But 5 minutes. That's your 5 minutes. Oh, you've got. Now I have. I feel I don't have to be offended or to be honored by this a time limit that's been given.
Until 6:30. Okay. That's what I meant.
Yeah. So this form of Shiva, actually, it's interesting that I can't say I never. We recite this every day, Nityam. We do it every day. Daily we meditate upon Shiva, and this was this mantra. But I've never seen a painting of this Shiva, right? Except in Allahabad, in the main. I don't know that now because they've redesigned the temple, the Ramakrishna Mission Ashram in Allahabad. In the old shrine, before they redid the shrine, they used to have pictures of Sri Ramakrishna holding with the Swamiji, and Swami Vijnanananda, the founder. And on the back wall, they had a picture of Shiva, and he was exactly described like this. Mm-hmm. Right? I should have taken a picture because then I would have had it. Maybe I actually have a picture. Maybe we took a picture. Right, thinking, but then I forgot I had the picture, But he was bearded. Shiva had a beard in this image, but he had 5 faces, holding the deer, exactly described. Very, very nice. We meditate upon Shiva. We meditate on this, but we've never seen a painting of it. And Tatpun in the and then if you worship in a Shiva Lingam, then the Shiva Lingam is bathed. And his primary worship is bathing. It says the Shiva is most pleased if the lingam is bathed. And there's many mantras that can be used for bathing a Shiva Lingam. The most auspicious is the Rudram, called Rudrabhishek. But for daily puja, we're not doing Rudrabhishek. So the essence of of course, within the Rudra, which is a very elaborate and difficult to pronounce and difficult to learn, but very powerful hymn, there is 5 little syllables hidden within the Namakam. It says Nama Shivaya. Right, that's where that mantra first comes. Nama Shivaya first finds itself in there, right? So that mantra has been pulled, that's considered the bija of the full Rudram, right? This is why we chant when we each eye from Om Namah Shivaya. We add Om, make it a 6 syllable, but it's actually a 5 syllable mantra. Namah Shivaya. It was in a long list of namas. There's Namah Shivaya. That's where it comes from. But there's another important mantra, that's the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. Everybody here probably knows it. Rambakam yajamahe sugandim pushti vardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanan brityor mukshya ma'amritat. This is also from the first section of the Rudram. And of course, the meaning of it is very beautiful. It's like we worship that fragrant Lord who nourishes all beings and grants health and who frees us from the bondage of death. Mrityor mukshya, right? Mritya mukshya mamrita, who frees us from death, right? So that's obviously within a long list. You look for a mantra. This says it grants health and frees us from death, and it describes it just like urvarukamiva bandhana, just like actually, we usually translate it poetically as a fruit falls from the tree. It actually means how a cucumber is severed from its. It's very specific. It's not very poetic. So in English, very often you translate it differently, right? It means a cucumber, right? And I have to explain that. Of course, the way you cut a cucumber is interesting. That same Swami BhajananandaNarayan who told me about the cow dying on one leg, right? They gave me a big lesson. We were there one time. Okay, we'll have to talk Mahamrityunjaya mantra next week because I've gotten the what is it the cane has come. Right. But anyways, this is actually it's good because we need more than a minute to talk Mahamrityunjaya mantra. It's a very significant mantra. A whole class just on Mahamrityunjaya mantra. It's such a beautiful mantra, and the siddhi of this mantra, and the benefits of this mantra, and the tradition of this mantra, and how it comes down to us, and why it's been used in puja. We'll start next week on that, and we'll continue. Any questions, comments, challenges, disagreements? Completely change topics. Yeah.
There's wild cucumbers in
Yes.
California, and you see them on the ground.
Yes. You see, I mean, when you cut the cucumber, it's believed in India that there's some. If you ever peel cucumber, there's a little bit of a sticky, weird thing, right? And it's considered poison. It's actually bitter. Most of we just cut cucumbers, and all my life we've been eating cucumbers without even thinking about it. Even in zucchini, it's there, but in cucumbers you feel it. It's like a milky thing. So what I was trained by this person, you cut the head, and then you take the head of the cucumber and you rub it like you've probably seen this in India.
And taste it, and if it's bitter, then you throw it.
Yeah, but you like that. So that foam comes. If it's bitter, it means that it's like. But also that foam will draw the bitterness out, right? There's a poison being pulled out. You chop and you rub it. I never do that. I mean, once in a while I forget. I sometimes just out of kind of go, you do it. People look at me, what are you doing? Feeling really special that I know this secret like that. But there's a thing about even this how cucumber is separated in a way that the poison is drawn out because you want no rebirth. It's liberated not just from death, from the world of death, right? So the very thing that causes birth has to be removed. And so it's a way that I just said I wasn't going to talk about it, but now I'm talking about it. I have no self-discipline. Please excuse me. Hari Om Tat Sat. Let's go worship Ma. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Jai Ma. Happy to see you. And you know how to chant the Rudrams, I know.
Yeah.
Last time when we first met you chanted powerfully the Rudram.
No, that was Durga Suktam.
Oh, you
and
chanted
Sri
Suktam.
Suktam.
I forget. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Namaste. Yeah. That didn't go well. That could have been bad. Almost fell into the fire there.
So where did you get that